Sup y'all, Alex Labby here. If you're curious to see how long potatoes last in the ground, then you may want to watch what's to come. So about this time last year I planted some potatoes. I can't remember what kind, but I do remember the packaging said they were good for homemade fries, which is what sold me on them. But it's kind of funny because here we are almost a year later and I haven't made any french fries with them. This was my first time growing potatoes. I planted these potatoes in a raised bed near my cabin. Now, I wanted to be able to have the potatoes last me through the winter months. I wanted fresh potatoes. I read somewhere that the potatoes would keep best if you just left them in the ground. Also, I believe I read that the rule of thumb is that you're able to harvest them after the foliage begins to die. So since then, I've harvested about half of the potatoes that I planted. I've got an idea. Let's go check out the other half to see if they held up in the ground. And here we are at the Lair of the Potatoes. It's March 20th, 2021. Like I said earlier, these potatoes have been in the ground all winter. If I remember correctly, I harvested about half the potatoes so far. We're about to see if the other half remain edible. Before we go on, if you're enjoying the video, don't forget to hit the like button. Maybe even hit the subscribe button if you want to keep up with my shenanigans. Alright, so I planted, I think one in each corner and then one in the middle. So this is one I just left because I guess it was starting to sprout. So we're going to leave that one in here for next year. Pretty sure these two plants are left. Let's go with this one first. Look at that, oi. This one right here, no bueno. Ants got to it, okay? Did see some ants in here. Here's the rest of the bundle. Here's one. It looks like ants start to get to that one too. All right. Oh, look at this one. That's a big one. It's a little bit mushy. I think I waited a little bit too long and they started to root again. So this is where we're at. This is pretty mushy, soft on one side. I think I waited just a little bit too long before digging these up. I dug some up last week, and honestly, these were the biggest ones of the bunch of every plant. A lot of them were this size, a little bit more bundles. It seems like the ants beat me to these last two plants. I don't know that this was an ideal grow area for potatoes. Anyways, I put 5 plants in this one box. This is probably how much room, 2 plants would need, maybe even 1. There's that. And I did start to notice these ants a few weeks ago. This potato looks okay right here. I'll probably eat this one. And this one started to sprout. I think I'm gonna put this in a pot. I would put it back in this planter, but I'm afraid these ants are gonna get to them. I think this is what tells me I waited a little too long. It started getting new growth. And this one had a little soft spot right there. I promise you guys though, last week I dug up a plant and it was fine. This one's definitely got some soft spots. And both of these, all these except this one, was harvested under new ant colonies. Maybe don't do this. I'm gonna do some more research. I think this was a potato fail. I harvested half of them, but alright, so that was a little bit of a fail, but I promise you I dug some up last week and they were fine. I did start to see the ants last week, so I briefly read about it after we just discovered what we just discovered. What I found was that they were good for about 2 to 3 months, I believe. If you live in a warm, dry climate. Georgia, it does get wet, but I had them in a raised bed, so I imagine the raised bed might have helped with that drainage in there. So the potatoes were good, at least. I don't know about those big ones. Those were the biggest ones I pulled out of there. And I don't know what happened. Well, I do know what happened. I imagine the ants got to them and I waited just a little bit too long. But they were good up until about a week ago. So maybe you need to check if you're in the right climate to store your potatoes in the ground, and if you are, how long that harvest period is. Because what I was trying not to do was keep them in the ground and then waste, you know, what happened. I was trying not to do that. I was able to eat majority of them. Those 2 plants that I dug up, so even though they were bigger, they had far less than the other ones. So just look into it on the YouTubes or the Googles. Check your area, how long you can keep your potatoes in the ground. I know you can do it. That's what I did for most of the winter. I think that there was a fine line that I crossed where I did lose some potatoes, but all the ones I harvested up until last week were fine. So like I said, I believe because it started to warm up in the past few weeks, and just that timing was off. Make sure you do a little bit of research on your own, because I don't have the answers for your area. But what I found out by trial and error is that I have a window to harvest the potatoes out of the ground, ideally before it starts to warm up. From the time the foliage dies into the late winter, I'm probably going to be okay. Depending on your ground situation, drainage, yada yada. Because I did read that if they get wet, then that can ruin them too, and they'll rot. I don't know. Do your homework. I didn't. This is going to take, well, better luck next time. Thanks again, guys. Like this video, subscribe, give me a follow on the gram, go like my page on Facebook. I keep them coming.